And I think we must understand that you cannot own people. You can enslave people, you can harm people, you can hurt people. You cannot own people. So this poem is in the voice of the ancestors. It's entitled, You Never Owned Me. You never owned me. You never owned me while I was alive and breathing. You don't own the people I left behind alive and grieving. Now that I've moved on to the land of the dead, this idea of owning people must be purged from everyone's head. From the spirit realm where I'm absolutely free, I'm speaking to you and my descendants about history. It is time to hear the truth about the past my descendants needed in order for their future to last. They must know you can never own them, and you never own me. This is the truth about our family tree. They must know you stole me from the land of my birth, forcibly transported me to another side of the earth. For centuries using guns and chains, you treated me cruelly, you were inhumane. You had me in custody and under control, my family, the seed and the womb you stole. But my freedom remained lodged in the core of my soul. Indeed, my memory of freedom is what kept me whole. As you raped and assaulted African men, women, girls, and boys, mistreating us like useless toys, our numbers were in the millions but remain untold as the aftermath of our trauma still unfolds. Your depravity had no limit and seems to have no end, as demonstrated by the greed you continue to defend. You want to own everything in and out of your sight you really believe might makes you right. Your might of the plantation system destroyed millions of families for the sole reason of supporting your insatiable greed. The idea of owning a human being is repugnant to a civilized mind, and enslaving another human offends mankind. What were you thinking? What was on your mind? You forced me to your homes in the north and the south. My children and I built this country living worse than hand to mouth. You never intended my descendants or I would be free. This is the major difference between you and me. I was always free, even when I couldn't show it. I was always free, even when trauma kept me from knowing. Although you tried, lied, and there were times I cried, you never owned me, and you never owned mine. Yes, you treated me as a commodity, cared nothing for my family. You even touted me as high quality as you saw top dollar for my progeny. The screams of my people fell on your deaf ears as you subdued them for generations with terror and fear. With violence and torture, you sent many to their graves, but my descendants must understand we were never slaves. One fact has stood the test of time: you never owned me, and you never owned mine. You can never own me as long as deep in my soul I desire to be free. I can assure you my desire for freedom never stopped, even as I planted all of your cash crops: cotton, tobacco, rice, and sugar cane too, all planted yearly just for you. I harvested those crops from all those fields, never did I benefit from any of the yields. You own the crops I planted yearly for you, the plantation buildings and the shack I lived in too. You owned the cow dung, the horse manure, the animals in the barn, and the tools in the shed. You owned all of these things, on this we can agree, but under no circumstances did you ever own me. You could never own me as much as you lied. You could never own me no matter how you tried. You may have owned the land if that's what you believe. I think some Native Americans would strongly disagree. They were here long before you and long before me. Their history is everywhere. Look around, you'll see. As for those like me forced to come here, the promise of freedom remained always near. It was a promise we made regardless of our bind. The promise of freedom was daily on our minds. Some gained freedom with Harriet Tubman on her outbound trains. Others fled alone, leaving those replacement names. I knew one day all of my people would be physically free. It was simply a matter of time, and everyone would see. Yet through it all, you never owned any of us. Through it all, we remained part of God's sacred trust. No one can ever own any man. This is the truth of God's eternal plan. God created each of us to be free. And the Emancipation Proclamation of 1863 only put in writing what God meant to be. Of course, you own some things throughout history, but one thing is certain: you never own me. You never